In this video, we're building the Little Guy Racing Parts comp chassis. I also painted one of their new R-Factor bodies. I'm going to try to put this on there. This is an awesome new kit from Little Guy Racing Parts, their first really hardcore comp chassis. I'm excited to try this thing out, so we're going to open it up. I'm going to show you what comes in the kit. We're going to build it together, and then we're going to do all the tests. We're going to put it on the performance table. We're going to see how it does side hill, vertical, RTI, put it on the track, all that good stuff. I'm really pumped to get into this. It's going to be a good one, so let's dive in and check it out. Let's check this out. So this is what you get when you order the kit. This is what comes in the bundle here. This is really exciting. This is Little Guy Racing Parts' first comp style chassis. They've released chassis kits before. They've got the X-Factor tube chassis. They've got the Ripper kit. They've got the Ultra 24, but this is their first real hardcore comp chassis. We've got rectangular aluminum chassis rails. On these rails, we've got 6 positions for your upper links, front and rear. This is going to help you out with your anti-squat and anti-dive. We've got an ultra flat skid with countersunk screws here. This is reversible, so you can run a forward or a backward facing motor. Comes with your billet links. This is built around a 160 millimeter wheelbase, which I believe is the same as running C10 front and deadbolt rear links, which, according to Little Guy Racing Parts, is the optimal wheelbase for an SCX24. And if that is indeed the combo that matches 160 millimeters, I got to agree, because I feel that is the optimal setup. Inside our kit of 3D printed materials here, we've got modular shock towers, so we can move the shock towers forward and backward. And you have a multitude of different places to mount your shocks on those. We get a lot of versatility in the shock towers and the shock mounting. Just everything in here was designed with performance in mind. So let's open this up and take a look at what exactly we get here. I should add that I got drive shafts as well. These would be extra. These don't come with the kit. Oh, I should not have dumped that out. Let's see, we have all of our 3D printed parts. Now, it comes with a variety of 3D printed components. Little Guy Racing Parts also gives you the option to upgrade nearly all of this to billet aluminum. I'm not going to get too granular into what's included here because we're going to see all this when we start building it in just a minute. But just know that the kit does come with the 3D printed components to go along with the aluminum rails and the skid and the links. You do have the option to upgrade if you want to. We do get all of our hardware here, very clearly marked on the package, which I sincerely appreciate. So I'm excited now that we've got into this. So why don't we take all of our pieces here and start assembling this thing. All right, let's get into this thing. So I've built all of my links already, so that's ready to go. I want to expedite this. So to build this, you're going to need your standard set of tools, primarily 0.05 inch hex driver. That should take care of everything we need here. We'll find out. So there's an order of operations here, and I've got it kind of laid out how I believe this is going to go together. Because the skid is going to go on, but you can't really just throw the skid on there because you have your sliders that are on the outside. So what we need to do is actually put our lower links on here, because they fit inside chassis right here. Then the sliders are going to go on, and that completes the attachment of the skid. So the first thing we're actually going to do here is put the lower links in. Make sure that you have the countersunk portions on the outside, because our screws are going to sink in there nice and tight. This first component is going to be probably the most tedious, but then once we get these guys situated, we should be in good shape. Okay, with that done, now we're going to put our skids on. So with your skids, you want this triangular portion facing back, and you want the flat portion facing up. So we're going to put one screw into the countersunk hole here, and then we'll put our skids on. Okay, lower links installed. The sliders on there. Get the bottom of this very flat, broad, and smooth. These boat style skids, really nice. I like it. What I'm going to do next is going to start installing my ESC and my battery tray. So my ESC tray is going to go in the back here. You want the flat portion on the top. So it's got this kind of downward slope. It's going to go right in the arch of the rear rails. Tell you what, just like all other Little Guy Racing Parts components, there is zero slop, no extra tolerance in this thing. This thing is tight. Tight, tight, tight. Everything fits together. Moving on to the front now, I'm going to do the battery tray. So again, smooth portion facing up, and it's going to coincide with the rails just like in the back. Slide right in there, very nice. Okay, battery tray, PSC tray, it's looking good. So next I'm going to get into the rear body mount with the hinge and also the front bumper. The rear section looks long here, and that's because this is primarily designed for the X-Factor body, which is kind of that pickup truck style. So you've got a long rear end here. This is why you've got this pretty long piece for your body hinge. So here's your hinge here, so it would go right into this section and flip up and down. I'm not going to put this on yet because I need to put this on my body, whichever one I use. So I'm going to set that aside for now. Front bumper just has kind of this tubular front bumper here in the to go right there. Lots of clearance in here for big servos. It's one of the design features of this was to make sure that there was adequate room for aftermarket servos. You can see the bumper mount actually mounts on the outside of the chassis, and the printed mount is actually countersunk here. Now I'm going to do my shock mounts. So these are our modular shock mounts. As you can see, they're slotted right here. When you put them on your chassis rails, you can slide them back and forth to determine where you want your shock mounts to be. And then you have 8-way adjustability on the shock mounts themselves. So lots of versatility here with our shocks. So far as I could tell, all 4 of these mounts were the same. These countersunk portions, we want these on the outside though. Shock towers on. See where I put these in the front. I moved them close enough to the bumper so that I had 2 exposed holes in the back. And on the back, same thing. Towards the front enough so I have 2 exposed holes in the back. And I did this just because that's what the Little Guy Racing Parts website shows these mounted as, and I figured that was a good place to start. Okay, next I'm just kind of putting these cross braces on the back here to go across the shock towers. Okay, this is where you can also mount your body post. So I'm going to put this in the front here. So now I'm going to work on my upper links. Now, one thing I did realize after the fact was that you have 6 different places for your upper links here to adjust for your anti-squat and anti-dive. Now, typically when I do these comp chassis, I like to mount the rear in the upper left-hand corner, kind of right there, and the front in the opposite. But what I've done now, since I put the slider on here, I can't access those points. So if you are going to utilize these 3 mounting positions for your front or your rear links, make sure you do that before you put your skid on. So I'm going to do the rear first, and then I'll probably have to take the slider off and then put the front upper links on. Now with your upper links, you're going to use the 10mm bolts, and then you're going to use the supplied nuts on the other side, because there's nothing for these to thread into. So that wasn't terrible. Just took out that front bolt, tilted it down, and now I can access all of my points here. We are in really good shape here. Pretty much ready to start assembling axles and shocks and putting the body on here to get situated. Hey guys, just want to jump in here real quick. You see that piece over here on the right hand side next to the hinge mount? You need that for the front bumper. It's actually a brace that attaches to the bumper and up to the shock towers. Without that, the bumper is pretty weak. I actually broke mine shortly after completing this build. So it's really important that you put that brace on there for structural integrity. Thinking about our electronics, but for the most part, that is the comp frame right there. Day 2 of the comp build project. We're going to wrap this thing up tonight. Made some good progress today. I just went through, I did some, not really small things, I did some pretty sizable things, but primarily the biggest thing I did was get the body on. So I put my hinges, my hinge mount on the back of the R-Factor body here. Got it situated to the chassis. One thing you notice, I did not do the body post. I did Velcro in the front. I'm actually a big proponent of Velcro just because I don't like to put holes in bodies because I change them out a lot. So this still gives me the option, you know, I can peel that Velcro off if I want, or I can put it on other bodies. So I just used the post here in the front that did have that protruding body post, and I just stuck some Velcro on there. So hinge works really well. So I was really relieved to see that. Fits on there really nice. I am a little concerned that I'm not going to have room in the rear. I feel like the rear links are going to be too short, but we'll see. Fingers crossed that we work this out. To put this thing together for this project, I robbed the axles and the power plant out of the C10 comp build. Now, I feel terrible doing so, but I needed to get this project done because I'm really excited to see how this chassis works. I got other plans for the C10, so don't worry about that. But we've got the Super 8, billet Super 8 axles with the Little Guy Racing Parts Tremor servo, brass knuckles and diff cover up front, billet axles in the back, motor and ESC combo. I'm doing the FuriTech TU24. This is the receiver and ESC built into one. It's going to hook up to my avatar. Got the Little Guy Racing Parts creeper motor. I got to bolt this up to a stock transmission that I have. And we'll do our drive shafts as well. For wheels and tires, I'm going to be doing the Trench Kings on the Little Guy Racing Parts beadlock wheels. And I'm also going to be putting in the Flub RC slime balls in these tires. I love these tires, but they are begging for a good insert in them. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to break these down and put the slime balls in. So that's the mission for tonight, is to put all of this together. So I think I'm going to start by attaching the axles, putting our motor and transmission and everything together, and then I'll put the wheels and tires on. So I'm going to get after that right now. Here she is, pretty much complete. The only thing I got to do is just sort out the electronics, make sure my battery tray has room for my batteries that I want to run, figure out where I want to put the ESC. Sharp looking kit. I gotta say, I love the looks of this, the fit and finish on it, this gunmetal aluminum and the 3D printed components. The quality of the Little Guy Racing Parts 3D prints is excellent. The combination here just looks fantastic. I put the black glossy wheels on it, Trench King tires with the Flub RC inserts. So this thing means business. Let's look underneath it. It's super flat, ultra flat, very slick and smooth under there. I put the limiting strap up front because it's got pretty long shocks. It's got 54mm shocks, I believe, on it. So to control that front end but still capitalize on that articulation, I put the limiting strap on there. Still tinkering with the shock positions, but I think this is good enough for now. Little Guy Racing Parts creeper brushless motor fits in there. Very little tolerance in the front facing, but doesn't look like it's going to rub at all. Super close though. I did have to go in and tweak my upper link positions because my axles were just out of whack with the positions that I had prior. So I did move those just a couple spots in either directions, but now it seems to sit really well. Everything works nice and smooth. The axles look nice and straight. And we put the body on. Here's the test right here to see if the body fits. Just kind of mock it up here. Oh, not even close. Man, that's a bummer. Man, that's too bad. I have to think about how we're going to do this. I do have the X Factor body. But I don't know if I can do that because, see, my body's all broken in the back here. Alright, I think what we might have to do is pause here, make this a two-parter, because I've just got too much work left to do on this to sort it out, and at the risk of making this video too long, I think I'm going to break it up. Just kidding, you guys know I can't leave you on that cliffhanger. Check it out, we got the body on there, this thing is ready to go. I had to do some modifications to the rear hinge mount. What I had to do was lay it over on top of the rear ESC tray, and then drill holes down through it to secure it. It's not an ideal situation, and I wouldn't really recommend it because I ended up breaking my hinge mount trying to force a coarse thread screw through it. I ended up taking a very tiny drilling holes and then putting some of the supplied hardware through. So not an ideal situation, but the body fits on there. I think I might have to tune my ride height a little bit, but in any case, I'm super excited. So you guys ready to run this thing? Let's fire it up and see how it goes. Here we are. So I'm so glad I got this body on here. This was a tricky body to paint. I had a vision for what I wanted. Had a little bit of a hard time masking it and getting the lines to work. I got some bleed in a couple of the spots here, right there. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. I went with some of my favorite colors, the fluorescent orange, the brilliant blue that's on my Gladiator, and then threw some white on there to break it up. So it looks pretty cool, I think. Hinge function works. I got my battery situated up front, although I'm having a little bit of trouble getting the battery to stay so it's not rubbing on the creeper motor. To see if I can figure something out there. I might use some rubber bands or something to give a little more tension to keep that further up, but we'll see. Let's see, let's fire this thing up. So got good steering. I'm rubbing on the rear tires here, but just lift this up so we can see the motors. I'm rubbing on that strap a little bit. Look how smooth that thing is. I love this motor combo. So good. Put the body down on it. Love being able to see through the windows. See that motor working and drive shaft spinning. Looks very cool. A little bit of rub at full steer. That's okay. Well, again, I might have to lift that up a little bit, but it's not terrible. Rear looks like it clears. And a little bit of rubbing. She's functional. This is awesome. This is further than I thought I was going to get last night. So let's put this on the setup table and get our initial measurements, and then we'll hit the course with it. Okay, this is what we've been waiting for. Let's try this thing out. So let's do the RTI first, ramp travel index. Didn't build this to be a flex monster. We'll see how it does. I think we're capped out right around 18.5. Next, let's do some side hill. $45, $50, $55. Let's say 56 on the side hill. The controversial vertical here, I'm going to do my best to get an accurate reading. Keep in mind this table is tricky to get a true accurate vertical reading. So let's try it anyway, just to see. I think this will stick pretty well. $50. $60. $65. $68 right there. Here we are on the four corner scale. So you can see this over here with 56% front, 44% rear. This is with the battery in it. And just cresting 500 grams total weight. All right, comp build on the course. Here we go. Hung up a little bit there to the long and low wheelbase, but smooth skid on the bottom, was able to glide over. Like the looks of this body, very cool. It's like the Ultra 4 Broncos. My son looked at it, Axel said it was a minivan. He wouldn't believe me that it was a Bronco. So he's not a fan, but I certainly am. Got the Trench Kings with the Flub RC inserts in there doing work up the canyon. That's a tricky line. These axles are running, so it's stock ratio in the front and underdrive gears in the rear. Good brake over there with the longer wheelbase. Looked really good and controlled on that descent. Makes me confident we got some good linkage positions. Now going into the challenge lines on the escalator here. I'm going to try to creep it first. We might have to bump it. Old Mini Moab is slick right now. Let's try to bump it. Yeah, no problem. Some understeer there, real bad. I don't think I can save it. Resituate myself here. Struggling here. Understeered off there again. I don't know if I'm going to get past this final section. There we go. Had to get creative there, take a different line. That's better. Do some side hill across the chute. I think it's about a 40-degree incline here, depending on where we hit it. Again, no body roll from those tires. Sticks very well. Very composed. No drama across there. And Hell's Gate. Let's see how we do. Man, I feel like the tires are really struggling on the course today. There we go, able to recover there. So first impressions driving, I feel like my tire combo has really held this thing back, and I might need to go back to the drawing board with my tire and insert setup. Just having a lot of grip issues, which is weird. Suspension action, link action, everything in the chassis feels pretty good. It's very composed, very solid, very stable. I just wish I had more grip. In another video, I might try some different tires, but let's try one more line and then I'm going to take it out and hit the rocks. It's just that understeer there again. Able to pull it off though. All right, good first run, good shakedown run. So this chassis kit is an impressive offering from Little Guy Racing Parts. The chassis layout and design offers numerous features that are going to benefit you from a performance standpoint. The ultra low and flat skid, which is also reversible for multiple motor configurations, low placement of your battery and electronics, and numerous options for your linkage and your shock mounts. Give you the versatility and the customization options that you need to make a truly competitive rig and get the most out of your truck. Aside from those kind of standard features that come in most comp chassis, I like that they've included some novel ideas like the modular shock tower design. From a performance standpoint, I would have liked to have seen a little better performance on the indoor course. I was really hoping that this thing would just crush every line that I put it against, but we seemed to really struggle. I initially thought it was the tires, but ended up swapping those out. I put some Swamp Kings on there, also on some heavy wheels, and I got the same results. A lot of understeer, pushing off the side of the course, both on the escalator and on Hell's Gate. So I think this thing could really benefit from some more weight up front, and maybe it's that I just need to adjust it a little bit more, but I was really hoping to see a little bit more from the first run. Out on the rocks, it did fantastic. Now I need to take this out to some real rock crawling spots, but in the backyard course, it did really good. So I'd say it met or exceeded my expectations in the backyard. So in real world conditions, not on the indoor course with styrofoam and plaster, it did really well. Fit and finish on this kit is great. It goes together really well. No slack in any of the pieces. It all goes together super, super tight. If you've ever worked with a Little Guy Racing Parts kit, you know what I mean when I talk about the precision fitment. This has exactly the same feel. So keep in mind that the aluminum upgrades are available for this if you do want to work your way out of the 3D printed components, but just be aware you're already at around $95 for this kit, which is competitively priced compared to a lot of the other really high performance, high-end chassis that are out there. Just keep in mind that when you start adding on the aluminum upgrades, you are going to push that price up into the mid 100s. But overall, I really like it. I'm looking forward to diving into this, tuning it and tweaking it and seeing what we can get out of it for performance. I'll put the links down in the description below so you can check out all the parts that I used in this build. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of the comp build and the comp chassis? And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'll see you in the next video.